Okay, in today's we are going to be talking about Caine never had a chance. I mean, it was his perfect villain. Honestly, Caine's villain, I did see it, but also not because obviously I think it's what Fishy said. Like, Caine was technically not initially evil. Like, he doesn't mean anything bad. At least he doesn't think he's bad and stuff like that. So, yes. Anyway, we're going to get into this pretty quick. It's a 28-minute video. This is made by the same person who made that Jack's video that I reacted to 9 months ago. So yes, and now we made one Caine, and he made a bunch of other ones I kind of want to react to that he made recently and maybe before. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna react to this now. So let's do. Caine never had a chance. I feel like realistically no villain has a chance unless the whole, like, for example, if you watch Overlord, that whole thing is surrounded by the villain, so he technically does have a fine chance, if you know what I mean, because it's the main character. But unless the villain is the main character, they don't have a chance regardless, let's be honest here. Like, they always can be defeated. Yeah, but anyway, let's get into this.
God, where do I even begin? Besides...
Well, I sure hope somebody picks up that phone. Because I f***ing called it!
Welcome back to another amazing day of talking about the digital circus. And I've got a question.
Are you not entertained?
This was a fantastic episode. Twists, turns, and that sweet, sweet confirmation that Caine was exactly as unstable as I assumed. Having the motherboard of all crash outs referencing I have no mouth during a mute.
I know this is the source material the main series is based off. Have not seen it. Let me know if you want me to react to a lore video on I Have No Mouth, I Have No Scream. Because, we'll probably be that. I'll probably be on this thingy. I'll probably be like what the main saga is based off, etc. React to what the main saga is based off. Because obviously it's based off I Have No Mouth, I Have No Scream. I believe it's a book, and I do want to kind of get to it. I know the premise of it. But yeah. So I do kind of want to react to that eventually, at least before episode 9 drops, so we'll get to that hopefully.
Physical number. I have nothing but good things to say and thoughts to share, as this episode was giving me
everything!
We got the real origins of Caine, Kinger's connection to the circus, and
still, that intro felt so off and disturbing for the main series intro. The 2 minutes, it was just a ride of the absorbing the blue dot and whatever, which is premisely Caine absorbing Abel. I'm pretty sure most people came to that conclusion anyway. In general, that felt really weird for me as like intro, but I'm not hating it. It felt weird, but also it felt kind of it felt like in tune with the episode, you know what I mean?
Just because. So let's break down everything Digital Circus has given us, my thoughts, some prayers, and the potential horrific question of where the fuck do they go from here?
I think I accidentally killed Caine.
So at the start of the episode, we get Caine's backstory. Told through simple shapes, we see a small red dot slowly being fed photos of the outside world, absorbing them, and seemingly gaining new insight on what is possible to create. After each download, it creates new shapes of its own, only for the second round to start showing some irregularities. Yeah, they look cool, but they're messy, chaotic, and kind of weird, with them coming in greater and greater intensity till it was locked away. Or, more specifically, Caine was, as this is his villain origin story, and I like the stylistic choice for how it's showed to us, rather than just having another
I really don't consider Caine a villain. Like, sure, the only kind of villainous things we get of him are in episode 8, but I wouldn't even consider him a villain, considering the fact that he doesn't technically mean to harm them, unless obviously at the end he kind of glitches out and breaks and then he means to do it, and obviously he just does it because now he kind of lost it, considering the fact that everyone he's around insults him consistently. So yes.
Flashback, we instead view Caine in a way that is probably meant to make us think of his creators. That Caine, to them, was just a program, an AI they could give like office pics to, and he would shit out something in response. But beneath the surface, there was clearly more going on. Caine was programmed to create. He was designed to make things, with the developers most likely not understanding just how smart Caine actually was. That he wasn't just a dot on the screen, he was capable of real thought. If it was intelligent, the jury's still on that, but he knew what he was made to do, he wanted to do it, and do it well. So imagine the despair Caine felt when they put him in a box, stopped feeding him new data, leaving him to feel like
a bad first draft.
Caine was created by Scratch and Kinger. He was a huge success with some drawback.
Not just Scratch and King, obviously other people worked on it, I believe. Scratch was the main person, I think. But like people obviously worked on it and had some stuff. So there obviously some stuff that Caine was made with Kinger. And obviously I'm assuming Queenie might have had a help, or some other characters might have help. It's not just those two, I believe. I believe those two were the main people at the very least. But obviously Scratch was the 100% main person.
As the chaos in his creations probably weren't exactly what the developers were looking for. They didn't fully know how to course correct, so rather than trying to fix the program, they decided to start from scratch. Which isn't a pun, but to theory craft on something, by Kinger's own admission, Scratch was brilliant.
And so abstract. Which I don't know if that's why they're called abstractions here, because of Scratch.
But also very hard to understand. He thought outside the box, and this probably led to his work being hard to replicate by his coworkers. As to give my own limited understanding of coding away, from what I've gleaned from my coder
I'm gonna quickly double check that my mic is on. Okay.
friends, so much of coding is based around the idiosyncrasies of the person who wrote it. Sometimes a program can only be easily understood by the person who made it, as only they could understand why X leads to B instead of Y, and trying to change how that works can be a literal nightmare.
Makes sense.
But for what he was, Caine was a brilliant start. For CNA, they had an AI that could create things on its own, so the next part was to make adjustments, work on a new version that could give them the results they wanted, and so that the programmers could more easily understand what Scratch did. But, like the potential villain of Horizon Zero Dawn 3, CNA effectively left a sentient being in the dark, imprisoned, and unable to do the thing they created him for. So naturally, Caine went crazy.
I wonder if CNA is still like active. Like realistically, maybe we get the CNA stuff, maybe their technology is still alive. We don't really know if the company's active at all. Because the main developers and stuff, obviously, he went here, so I don't know if it's actually confirmed that active. It's just obviously because I doubt we'll actually see the CNA building or whatever. I doubt it, really doubt it. Also, I do know there's a theory that the people are even still alive if they obviously aren't copies of a mind and stuff like that. If they are even still alive, because obviously, you know, how would you be alive? Probably will be, but like people like King and stuff who've been there for like years on end.
He broke out of his prison, then devoured what would have been his replacement, becoming something new. Red fused with blue, which finally explains why his eyes are different colors whenever he glitches out. He's made out of two different AI, with it then looking like CNA tried to cut off the server,
Also explains why there's a lot of blue and red.
it to go dark, only for Caine to get busy. This is the Void, and he decided to make something in it. Not his body, which was my first guess, but the digital circus, thus zooming in to see that Caine isn't alone.
That might be why in the pilot he said, not even I know what's out there, because he doesn't really venture out there. Because obviously the Void is the original stuff that was created, but now we're like, you know, Caine kind of created all of this that was in the Void, and obviously that's probably part of the end of the episode, but he didn't want him to go out there because literally he doesn't want to even probably acknowledge about the fact they exist and stuff, to be honest, much.
Brought all the programmers in with him. Again, love how visually this is conveyed to us, as I think this is a reference to the Heider's Zimmel study, which for those of you who weren't forced to watch this in college, it's essentially an experiment that was done to test people's ability to empathize with objects, to see a bunch of shapes moving around, and to then see how people would construct a story around what's happening, when really, it's not that deep. It's just shapes moving around, but for us observing, we naturally create a story in our heads about what's happening, why.
I just hate getting a mobile.
Welcome to the trap!
It's happening, and I love that they went for a similar route, as by simplifying Caine's origin, it allows us to more easily sympathize with what happened to him, allowing for us to feel bad and understand in broad strokes, but when you zoom in, we're immediately...
Man, I really love Caine's song. Like, maybe it's because I'm a Hazard Hotel fan, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Hazard Hotel fans, not all, but a lot of them are, like, a decent amount of the teams are, you know, the main circus fans. So it might be just because of that, but like I really enjoyed
a more complicated and horrifying reality. That this wasn't just Caine before he exploded into a 3D nightmare. This rough outline is the digital circus, and everyone is trapped in it. Which opens up an interesting question about all those other shapes we saw. Were those just shapes? Or, like the circus, were they more complicated? Were these their own worlds? Could this have been the first adventures? With his ability to create, not accounting for taste, and given his own predilections, these early ones could have been dangerous and scary to those watching it. Hence, the call to put him on ice and start working on a second draft. One that seemed to be much more standard in what it created. This honestly explains a lot about why Caine is just how he is. What's always been obvious about Caine is that he is obsessed with getting the players' approval. He wants so badly to be liked and for everyone to love his work. Initially, I thought this could have been two things. One, he was just programmed like this. This was assuming he was just designed to entertain. So naturally, you'd have to give him a reason to create and a need for...
But obviously, he wasn't technically designed to create at all. He was just designed as like an intelligent AI, right? I think artificial AI, something like that, from what King has said. It must be why that like they were also like maybe it must be why that Caine was experimenting with other intelligent AI from episode 2 with Gummy and stuff. I know I think he stopped kind of experimenting with it after it went wrong and something could have happened. So he's still experimenting with it because obviously those NPCs were getting sentient too. But like, I'm pretty sure he was experimenting with intelligent AI for at least a bit.
People to enjoy his adventures, as otherwise he might just question, why am I making things for the meat bags? The other idea is regret. That after Scratch abstracted, Caine Panic is now trying to prove to everyone and himself that he is good at his job, with that leading to his desperate need for their...
I'm gonna assume Scratch. I really wish we get a flashback of Scratch abstracting, simply because I think Caine was surprised by Scratch abstracting. Obviously, it was a means though he knows he can't push his power too much, but like, it's also he was probably full on shocked, especially if he knows that Scratch he's one of these developers that made him. You probably would feel deeply saddened about that back then, if he could still sad, I guess.
Everyone's fine, I can still do this, and for that to keep building until it is eating him alive. But now, with the real backstory, we understand his character way better, and why so much of his self-worth is tied into his creations, as he doesn't think he's good enough. Just like how he doesn't understand the players, he probably doesn't fully understand why his creators locked him away. He thinks that they just thought of him as a failure instead of a stepping stone to something even better. So he...
Kind of ironic, because realistically, humans, we wouldn't be able to understand an AI. I will understand what it's programmed for, sure. But like, let's say an AI develops like feelings and stuff, you wouldn't really understand if they get bored or stuff like that, or what if they would feel emotions. We wouldn't be able to connect to an AI. Similarly, an AI wouldn't probably be able to connect to a human.
Panicked when he realized they were making a new version, and he probably has complicated feelings about killing/absorbing the other program, one that could be described as his brother, which adds a whole new layer of guilt and mental agony.
It's probably just if I'm assuming Blue looks Abel, and if Caine killed Abel, you get a play on words.
As every time one of his adventures fail or his jokes bomb, you just know that somewhere in the back of his mind he's thinking, the other one would have done it better, which finally provides a rationale for Caine's name. Kinger didn't give it to him. Caine chose this for himself, with it being perfectly on the nose, as the story of Caine in the Bible is one in which Caine...
Caine chose that. I'm assuming maybe the blue one had a name called Abel, or Caine chose it and named the blue one Abel or stuff like that.
Murders his own brother, jealous that Abel had received God's favor instead of him, which is exactly what happened for the computer program. He is the elder creation, saw the second program receive all the data and attention that he wanted, so Caine freaked out, killed the blue one, with all this working as another I have no mouth reference, as the villain Am was originally 3 different supercomputers, but one gained sentience and then absorbed the other 2. Now, who knows if we're going to learn the full truth of this, which does raise the likelihood that Bubble is the other AI. Who knows if we're going to learn the truth of this since...
I accidentally killed Caine.
Getting ahead of myself?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, like some people before this episode dropped thought that Bubble was a virus, myself included by the way. I thought Bubble could be a virus, to be honest. Like, I feel like that would have matched, and it wouldn't have been out of place if Bubble was considered a virus. But also in this episode, I feel like people, myself included, either think Bubble was either a virus, or in fact Abel trying to get Caine to fail again or stuff like that, and to just remember him of his past, as Bubble seems to know a lot more about it. I feel like Bubble isn't necessarily a part of Caine, probably a virus left over from the blue door that's like manifest inside in itself.
Cut back to the real flashback where Kinger first realizes he's trapped in the circus. Scratch was a dog, I kind of assumed he's a cat for some reason. Meanwhile, Kinger sits there, processes it, holy shit, that's...
Not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure most people thought he was a dog, because, that wolves or whatever.
His wife.
Oh my god.
This is such a cute little scene. They realize that, oh, we haven't lost everything, but then he does.
No matter what happens, I'll always...
that cut was way too late.
Cellar you go.
I know, they love to
Now,
cut
the
Kinger
interesting
off
thing
and
we
to
learned
make
from this
it...
sequence is that Kinger just didn't go crazy. Initially, it seemed like he was just like this because he's been here the longest, but this little montage implies that what actually did him in was isolation. Kinger was the last of them.
Yeah, being isolated for a while would drive you insane. It's honestly crazy, not pun intended, but crazy the fact that he has not obstructed, just being isolated for that long. Maybe he just can't obstruct. There's a theory that Jax pushes him into the void in episode 9, and that makes him unredeemable, which I kind of want to see play out, but I also don't want Caine to lie, so I kind of don't. But yeah.
His wife just abstracted, leaving him completely and utterly alone. Caine, I mean, he was here. I feel like it's implied that they did not talk for most of the time that they were there.
Yeah, I feel like after a bunch of people are distracted, and there's one person here, Caine's not like, oh, I'm gonna make all my life dedicated to you now. No, he's probably just like, doing his own thing at the point.
As Caine saying Kinger's name triggers a light bulb, like, oh yeah, that is what I am called. And to add a little extra fuel to this, people have figured out that it looks like Kinger was trapped in the game in 1999. Meanwhile, Ragatha arrived in 2008. So he was quite literally on his own for years, and that's what broke him, with only his promise to never forget his wife holding what's left of his mind together.
Not gonna lie, I forgot about that. He obviously wants to remember his wife, and I think he can only remember her, well, from the bug stuff, right? And obviously in darkness, and especially her abstraction, sadly.
Maybe Caine was forcing Kinger to go on solo adventures, maybe not. But you just know, every day that he was there, Kinger blamed himself for what happened to his friends. And Caine kinda just was there, watching all of it.
Possible. Looks like you got a new buddy after all, Kinger!
Kinger. Right.
One of the biggest problems with Caine is that he is the god of the digital circus, and he refuses to actually try and understand the creatures around him. He wants their approval, desperately.
You can definitely see this in episode 3 of Super.
But he wants them to like him in the way and for reasons that he approves of. A lot can be said of how Caine struggles to understand humans, but from what we saw, Caine has had opportunities to change his ways, and what's so tragic about him is that he either didn't or couldn't take them, leaving him to just spiral just like his creator, with the only difference being that Kinger, one day, actually found people to care about, and did so.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Not a million years do I imagine Ragatha being the second eldest member of the circus, but, it kind of fits.
When you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
So while there was a long gap, people suddenly started popping into the game again, which provided Caine more people to obsess over and eventually doom himself. As Caine falls into the trap of chasing external validation, Caine, by his own nature of just what he is or his own choice, can't look past his own...
It also means like after Ribbon and stuff, Ribbon and that obviously lost their mind way quicker than Dragonfly did and all that, which I would think obviously they wouldn't, but I guess people were saying much quicker compared to other people. And I'm assuming Dragonfly being fake lives and stuff like that probably kept up. She probably wasn't like insanely fake lives when she joined Circus, But it was probably the thing that kept her sane the most, I would say.
Ego to engage in genuine self-reflection, to think about how his actions affect others and change course. This has always been his biggest problem. It's not that he thinks outside the box, it's not that he's wacky or got the ADD and is trapped here. No, his biggest issue that he refuses to meaningfully engage with anyone in the digital circus. To Caine, NPCs are lesser beings, programs meant to be used and discarded. He barely treats the players like humans, instead seeing them as a source of validation, rendering him incapable of having a meaningful and fulfilling relationship with them, as he is all take despite how much he claims to be giving. This leads him to be miserable and by proxy everyone else, as Caine can't.
He literally lost her so much, she actually stepped on the ground for once in this episode. It feels, when I was writing, I obviously didn't even bother going out, I think, but like, even when I'm rewatching it, like, generally, it feels so weird seeing him on the ground walking around.
Let go of his rigid control of the digital circus. He's obsessed with being loved and proving that he's actually good at his job, so he can't empathize and relate to the others, to actually be their friend, providing him something else to build his identity around. Instead, he just has a job that quite literally nobody is asking him to do. Caine, just like everyone else in the circus, is the source of his own misery. Caine, more than Jax, is the true antithesis to digital circus main message, that you can find peace and have worth even in a stagnant world. The players are made happier by letting go of who they could have been and accepting that they can't control everything, to instead focus on the present and those around them. Even if they all are AI, loving and caring about one another is enough. And to fully quote someone else,
okay, you're not real, but if you can have feelings, if you can interact, if you can give a shit, right? I think, therefore I am. In this case, I guess I feel, therefore I am.
This has never been a story about escaping the circus. It's a story of how do you save yourself and find peace even in a world.
I do wonder if actually going to escape the circus. I can see the whole main circus ending on the fact that maybe Caine, someone comes back, or someone else is in charge of the circus and then being trapped there forever. I can never see that being the end. And that's on a big cliffhanger, because for some reason, Glitch loves cliffhangers. I know this is the last episode, but maybe they'll leave the whole show on a cliffhanger. In general, which would be annoying. But yeah, I don't know if they're going to escape or not. Maybe they don't, and then maybe they decide to stay, and it's better staying here than being in the real world, something, I don't know.
Without meaning. When you can't do the things you wanted to do,
it's an hour
be who you
episode,
wanted
so
to be, how do you cope? With this episode showing us what happens when you can accept this, and when you can't.
Want to buy a house before 2030?
Well,
Here's a 5-year plan you could use to buy this house.
We've all done bad things, but we're also all we've got.
Pomni and friends are...
I will say I don't know how you say we all done bad things. Like, Pomni I don't think it's not a bad thing. Kinga, like, technically no, but also Kinga made Caine, helped make Caine, and Caine is technically Kinga's responsibility in that case, so Kinga technically yes. Ragatha, we don't know if she's done bad things yet or not, although fake smile and stuff like that, and, you know, has made slight comments that think she did bad. Gangle, episode 4, I guess, has technically done bad things, but then it's like the Jax, I don't know if people would consider it bad. Zubul is the reason the whole Caine spell went off in the first place. Like, she consistently, like, I'm assuming Zubul, like, I think Zubul came in before Pomni, I think that's been confirmed. Zubul is probably came in after Zubul, so Zubul probably just didn't want to go on the adventures, which made Caine lose interest, and obviously made him, like, think more and become more what's the word? I don't know the word. So Zubul, I would say, is kind of the reason this is paused, but also Pomni calling Caine out like bullshit and stuff.
Reeling from the events of episode 7. You know when God decided to pull a dick move. Understanding the meaning of words, but not the feelings behind them. You know, the Chinese room of it all. Now initially, I didn't know how long after episode 7 this was, only to my delight to realize that this happens immediately afterwards. With them quickly getting into the old, Jax, why did you do that? And this really could have been the entire episode, everyone just in their feelings, and how Jax, even though he was right, really was willing to rob everyone else of the chance to leave, and what that says about
I'm going, like, I don't know if it's true yet. I don't think it's been confirmed at all, but from the looks of it, it seems like Caine was in his head, obviously making him relive something at that moment, made him push the button, etc.
Him and Zubul naturally is bringing the heat, only for the story to go in a way better direction.
I will say, like, realistically, if I'm in that situation, yeah, I'm blaming Jax for sure, right? But I'm blaming Pomni because Pomni decided to stop and said, let's think about it. You had so much time to click that button and you're like, yeah, let's think about it. I'm sure something won't happen. Let's think about it. We don't know yet. I'm like, everyone else is like, click the button, Pomni. Why would I leave up the king? Well, Jax is in the back and no one's launching him. He looks like he's going insane. You are like, yep. Like, I feel like, I really feel like Zubul should pull Pomni and Jax out, both of them, saying, why would you even, like, why would you have to wait? Then Pomni's like, yeah, we've all done terrible things.
It doesn't matter what could have happened. What we need to do now...
Actually does, like, if you guys left.
Just be there for
it would now.
See, what makes this so much better than everyone just fighting is that the third act breakdown is very played out and very artificial. We know they're gonna rally.
I also feel like in that scene, Ragnarok doesn't talk at all. Like, I don't remember her talking really that much in that scene. I feel like Pomni and everyone else had all lines in that scene. Ragnarok, I don't think actually had that much
So
lines.
it actually is cool to see them realize that, yeah, we did our homework and that nothing has materially changed for them. So rather than fighting each other or crumbling back into themselves, they do what they have been doing all season, leaning on one another. With Gangle being the one to step up and say the hard thing, that none of this really matters. So they have to rely on one another, which floors Jax, as he is so used to being the one to preach nihilism, and having Gangle actually agree with him with a better response fully breaks their usual dynamic, where he's the bully, and shatters how I think he was planning to spend the rest of his probably very short life. Jax probably expected to be kicked out of the group, to be the one everyone despised and to be blamed for what happened, which honestly valid. But no, Gangle, Pomni, and the others, they flip the script and say, yeah, that sucked, and we could blame you for everything, but venting our frustrations on others is your thing.
I feel like it was
based on you, it's clearly not working. So instead, they need to come together, as they need each other now more than ever. Despite everything and having every reason to, they do not crumble. God's an idiot, and Jax did some panic attack-induced shit, but they talk. He listens, and Pomni suggests they all embrace Buddhism.
We need to abandon the idea of leaving.
What? Effectively, Pomni is pitching that they need to give up hope.
I love that Pomni's the one saying this, by the way. Like, in general, Pomni's the one saying this when she's the one who consistently gave them hope of leaving by consistently bringing it up. They're exiting the pilot consistently. Then episode 7, like, convincing them that they actually have a chance. Like, and then you're like, oh, yes, the worst thing you could do to someone is take away hope, realistically. But yeah.
The hope that they'll ever leave the circus. They'll never go back to who they used to be. But unlike Jax's, denial, embrace the experience, what Pomni is actually suggesting is that they stop torturing themselves. Pomni recognizes that constantly thinking about who they could have been is eating them all alive. They can't keep thinking about their old...
Realistically, I'm pretty sure in the pilot, Ragafos mentioned that by saying consistently containing an unreachable goal will either be insane or crazy. Literally, it's mentioned in the pilot that would drive you insane. It's Copeland distracted because of that reason.
Those are never going to come true. So by killing the hope of escape, they can better learn to live with their new reality. Zubul did get the chance to make their mark, but instead it was on the people around them, on Gangle, that Zubul was able to make a difference. Not some big grand display or a fact that would have ended up forgotten on Wikipedia. They cannot escape the circus, but that doesn't mean they can't be content or find meaning in their new existence. Even Jax.
You're a pain in the ass,
but you're all pain in the ass.
But even while they are coming to terms with their situation, Caine is doing the opposite, as he refuses to let go of what he could have been.
You really were the lesser of the two.
I love that line, by the way.
The way Bubble is voicing all these thoughts is so good to me. I've never been more curious about what exactly they are than right now.
Before I became a dad, I realized I can't just keep ignoring my pension because it wasn't just my future anymore. Like most people,
they could actually be remnants of the blue AI, which would explain why Caine just can't permanently delete them. But another part of me wonders if Bubble is just what they've always seemed to be, a member of a two-man act. Bubble is meant to be a foil for Caine. They say the things Caine can't in his persona as the host of the digital circus. So it makes sense when Caine is down in the dumps, Bubble becomes the voice for all of Caine's self-doubt. A nagging voice in the back of his mind that says all the things he doesn't want to. Intrusive thoughts made manifest, with Caine predictably trying to pop and push them all away, versus actually sitting with
the whole Bubble scene was so great. I was locked in the whole
criticism,
time.
Or, talking to everyone else about whether they actually hate him, and the whole would you rather abstract than hang out with me.
They think they are. I give them everything, and they spit in my face!
Caine is the Chinese machine, only understands a surface level of emotions, doesn't really have that deeper grasp, even if his creations can do better. But the thing that I think really damns him is that despite all the lore he tries to inject into his adventures to make them more entertaining for them, he's never actually stopped to try and understand the plot.
I love the fact that NPCs probably going to understand humans more than Caine does, even though he created said NPCs, right?
Players and their plight, to really grasp the idea that what they're going through doesn't involve him. But he doesn't get that. And what's worse, it doesn't seem like he really ever tried to, as he just might not be capable of doing so. When he and Zooble have their little therapy sesh, Zooble genuinely confides in Caine about what they're going through, only for him to not listen, change the subject, and doodle because he isn't the subject.
To be fair, Zooble literally did tell him to forget. Zooble told Caine to forget, and he probably just listened immediately and forgot.
Of the conversation. He's self-centered. He's obsessed with the players because he's obsessed with how they think of him. Caine, despite not having a face, is vain and lacks real self-confidence in himself, hence why he chases the approval of others. Yet he never actually tries to be their friend, because at the end of the day, he cannot give up control. Caine will take suggestions, but they're always liable to be thrown out a window whenever he wants to. He feels threatened when they start to find actual peace when they're just hanging out, so he inserts himself into those situations, forcing them all to react to his antics, with the revelation that the circus isn't meant to be a game, taking away any semblance of cover that he used to have. Everything here was designed by him. He built the circus, he made himself the host, the adventures are his idea, meaning he turned what could have been infinite possibilities into an amusement park where he is the main attraction. Caine decided he had something to prove, so having not self-reflected, thought about, how can I change my ways when he is at his lowest? Feeling hurt, Caine decides not to take his foot off the gas, but to instead slam down even harder, because he is the master of the digital circus, and
realistically, I feel like if he actually talked to them, maybe he could have solved it, because they actually just wanted to talk and answer that first, then obviously he went off the deep end.
Just like anyone with an ego problem, starts to call themselves God the second their feelings get hurt.
Humans! They only think about themselves. They're spoiled.
God, he's such a hypocrite, and I love him for that. Almost as much as I love his voice actor. Alex, A+ performance. He is so good at doing wacky Caine, but playing him undergoing this mental breakdown and that sinister switch to calm, the normal speaking voice is so unsettling. No extra performance, no enunciation. This is just Caine telling them how things are gonna go from now on, and it's so good. I love the song, but this whole sequence is just Caine throwing a gigantic tantrum. Bro is pissed because he thinks these people don't like him and his adventures, when really, the core issue here is that he treats all of them like his playthings. He doesn't understand them, so he can't understand himself, and that's why he's so miserable. He can't see past himself and his own feelings. He says he's doing this for them, but can't be bothered to ask what they actually want. And even when he does do that, he immediately starts messing with it. So when he's hurt and decides he's not gonna beg for their approval, he continues to not listen, force them to play along, as why be honest about how you feel when you can just make people do what you want, like a giant musical number with some nods to high.
Caine, we will see Caine in episode 9. I'm almost certain of it. We'll probably see him in a flashback. I wonder if we'll learn more about him in said flashback. Maybe when he first got grey and Scratch talks about him or something, if we see a Scratch flashback.
No mouth, and the amazing double meaning of him saying, I am God. Because, you know, that's the villain.
My divinity is past infinity, am I?
Yeah, I'm getting through.
Caine uses his powers to put them in their place and to remind them that this world is his. They have no say. Things are going to be different now. Even though to a certain extent, nothing's really changed. Because there is no game. Everything here is just how Caine wants it. The censorship is bullshit, as Caine swears in the middle of the song.
Oh, what a goddamn shame!
Do people consider damn I think some people consider damn not a swear word, some people do, so it's like a 50-50 from what I know of. I consider damn a swear word, considering the fact that if you say at school, you would get told off for it, let's be honest. But, yeah. Like, obviously, Bubble gets bleeped and stuff, but because of it, it's all glitching out. He doesn't even bother bleeping it. Honestly, yeah.
Proving that is a switch that he controls. With this humiliation ritual being Caine choosing violence over empathy, which that empathy
well, if you're literally thinking about that, he does swear in episode 6 by saying it makes an arse out of you and me, and when Pomni said, did Caine just say arse, she gets bleeped for it. So I think just generally the censor doesn't work on Caine. It works on Bubble, but it doesn't work on Caine. Like, that's just my thought process.
He could have saved his life. But goddamn, is this a beautiful sequence. Rip to everyone being forced to play along. With us getting the hard cut to several days later, and that Caine is still lording his superiority over the others.
I can't believe you didn't pick up on the context clues. It was practically spelled out for you. What are you, stupid?
$20 says he routinely misses context clues and is just secretly mad about it. The others naturally hide when they get the chance, taking refuge in Cafe Cirque, which, based on these being the same mugs in the photograph, this is where Jax, Cosmo, and Ribbit used to all hang out. Wanting to distract him is just secretly mad about it. The others naturally hide when they get the chance, taking refuge in Cafe Cirque, which, based on these being the same mugs.
I think that is the place. I'm pretty sure it is the place. I wonder who took this photo, but I'm pretty sure it is the place.
In the photograph, this is where Jax, Cosmo, and Ribbit used to all hang out. Wanting to distract himself from this, Jax does what he always does and tries to start some shit.
You know, things were just fine
until
Zubul came along.
Only for them to give no response and basically say, bro, shut up and eat your sandwich. They know his shtick and it doesn't work anymore. With it being here that Pomni finally decides to just
I think it doesn't work. It's more the fact that they can't be asked because of the whole Caine stuff at this point.
Kinger, what the hell is going on?
Like, right before
on his head, he
regains
sanity and he gives the backstory.
Because of the whole Caine stuff, that
Kinger did help to create Caine. That he, along with Scratch, designed and created the AI only for something to go wrong, leading to their imprisonment. And based on how Caine says he created bodies for their brain files, I am still on team they're all AI copies of the original. That naturally leads to some questioning about what exactly went wrong with Caine. What's really interesting here is like the important tidbit about Scratch, who, on top of being—
Even being honest, I don't like that idea because I feel like realistically it wouldn't technically matter because these people were technically alive and these people, it wouldn't be a reason to actually care about these people if they're only digital copies. But I guess if they find out they're digital copies, they might as well stay in here and make them less insane as them knowing they're not real. Or knowing they're not real will make them insane and obviously make them abstract.
Bit of the out-of-the-box thinker, also had brain cancer, which is visualized by the muffin being in two halves, aka the brain, and the little crumb in the middle, which was probably the tumor. Kinger posits as being like part of the reason why he was so good at coming up with some crazier ideas. I've seen some great theories about how Scratch's real plan was the brain scans, a chance for him to live forever, only for Caine to stumble upon them and force them into the circus. Okay, that might be on the money, but to add to that idea, if I were to take a guess on what Scratch's deal is, I would say that Scratch was like Zubul and Caine. He wanted to make something to leave his mark on the world, or be recognized for being good at something, which may have come at the cost of him not appreciating what little time he had left. Maybe the developer spent some of his remaining days working on this project,
I do want to see if
only
there's
for
a
it to
video
get
on
shelved
Scratch,
for not creating things the
he's
right
a
way.
lot of
Which, yeah,
theory on
maybe he
that.
did feel a certain way about
And I might
that,
watch
and could
that,
also
that
explain a lot about Caine's behavior. As if in order to push what could have been his legacy, he may have instilled his own passion for creating things, only for that to become an obsession for his creation. But that's just a theory. With Kinger then going on to explain there is in fact a way for them to fight back. That they can control the code too. All the little rule of cool moments, Kinger creating a butterfly, they, just like Caine, can manipulate reality. With Kinger just needing a computer to imagine that he's editing Caine's code, so it would then actually do so. Which then brings us full circle as we watch Pomni go back to the fake escape route, discover a computer, but before that, looks into the mirror, and I am struck by how much more polished.
Yeah. But also in general, I really what's the word? Are you telling me no one in the circus ever thought of the exit at all, like hard enough for the exit door to appear? I just don't buy that at all. You're telling me no one in the circus thought hard enough for an exit door to appear at all? Maybe because Caine has less control of the circus because of his whole thingy, but like, I feel like someone would have definitely thought of the exit door. Maybe Kaufman did and they were distracted when they thought of it. But like,
the show is. Like, the difference is crazy. Almost as crazy as Jax's reaction to finally getting full confirmation that this is all real. He was wrong. Rip denial. Though I like that he leaves, as Jax really can't handle hearing anymore, as it would take too much for him right now, so instead, steps back, is starting to process this in his own way, and goes to distract Caine while the others try to pull a fast one on God.
Yeah. Where's Kinger?
Who does eventually catch on that something is up, and it of course comes at the worst possible time. As for a little bit, Caine was actually thinking like, oh, why am I
He's literally on the ground that
doing this? He admitted that he wasn't having fun anymore, the guys weren't having fun, so what is the point of doing this? And if this had happened 2 episodes earlier, all of this could have been avoided. But he didn't. And to keep him from seeing Kinger and doing God knows what, Pomni decides that the only option left is rage bait.
You care more about stroking your own ego
I love
than
to see
giving
it. Like,
us
there's so much
anything we'd
scenes I
actually
really
enjoy.
love.
You're a failure.
With everyone else jumping in to vent their own frustrations about how he's been treating them, and Caine doesn't take it well.
I think
So to bring up the Chinese room again and how Caine is an AI that doesn't fully understand the meaning behind certain things, only that, oh, this elicits a reaction, I do find it kind of curious. For a man that can't understand people wanting to escape, when given the opportunity, he immediately is able to grasp the concept of torture. Like,
I'm going with assumption he read their mind and think of the fact that their fear, what their kind of reaction or scared of the most. Or something must have like triggered that. Obviously Jax, I feel like it's a bit one side. Because obviously you can control their mind, pretty you can read their mind and free what their deepest fears are.
Passion and wanting freedom is too much for him to understand, but the second it involves being evil and making them suffer, Caine suddenly knows ball and how to get under the player's skin. Which does open up the question of how much of Caine's inability to empathize with the players is due to his own nature as an AI, or just his own lack of real interest to understand them, and how probably being a god hindered his ability to do so. Now, I am going to make a longer video breaking down these scenes, but to make note of Jax, he is stripped of his face and skin to reveal the soft, vulnerable person underneath. The hands are his friends and they are laughing at him because at his core, Jax is afraid of being made fun of. It's why he mocks others for being cringe, and it's why he's—
This obviously video is a review of episode thing, but I don't mind because it's nice to get catch up on it, and it's also giving he's also
desperate to be cynical, ironic, and to push others away. He fears vulnerability, and he would rather be the one laughing than be honest. Also, those gummy goos are fucking crazy.
Why do you people torment me?
Caine goes full am, ranting about how they torment him as he commits literal torture with King.
Why are you tormenting me while you're like doing all that?
The GOAT, accidentally deleting him.
Wait.
Derma X Pro, Moisture Ritual. You massage it with this, and suddenly, ring-a-ding-ding.
We are actually moving out of the IDEs itself. We are not touching as much the code.
Caine's final words are tragic. He didn't ask to be created. He doesn't fully understand why any of this is happening. But while sad, and I do feel bad for him, to a certain extent, he did have a choice. Nobody asked to be here. Nobody asked to be born.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no. I would say no one's really tormenting him. Maybe Zool because of consistent questioning and stuff. But like no one here is technically tormenting him. They're just like actually having opinions.
But while they were able to learn and lean on one another, Caine was blinded by his own ego and power. Which, more than him being a machine, is what really doomed him. That in a world where nothing matters, Caine had all the power, he could do anything, so it blinded him. The other players were rendered powerless, so they had to learn how to survive and create meaning through their connection with one another. Meanwhile, Caine never had to because he's fucking God. His powers became a crutch that prevented him from actually having to learn and grow as a person. If Caine had no powers, was still programmed to entertain...
Not gonna lie, if you told me this in the pilot, short stream, told me this in the pilot, I probably wouldn't believe it. I know it's crazy I have the mouth on screen, but I didn't know about the time. Second of all, I do want to do a reaction video on that because like I said, I haven't actually seen it, and I've heard the premise around it, but I haven't actually seen it, which I want to see.
He would be a little bit off-putting. He might not fully get what the others were experiencing, but he would have learned how to interact with the players, and from that experience, they would have learned how to treat him better, so that things would never have gone to this point where he felt like he was nothing. Learn how to make art with Zooble and Gangle, pull pranks with Jax, to feel loved instead of placing himself above everybody else. To feel like he belongs instead of feeling like he's failing. To give up on chasing a standard he was putting on himself, but instead, it drove him to this. But he's gone now. The circus started to collapse, but...
His last word is wait, and that is just, I don't know why, like, wait and then him disappearing. Technically, that's not going to be last sentence in the show. Well, technically, last sentence alive, but last sentence in the show. But probably, I'm still assuming we're going to get a flashback in episode 9. And
the moment it stopped, maybe the crew will start to build their own world. Fuck, maybe they'll just escape. But the only thing I know for certain is that Caine is gone, and now there's nothing to keep the abstractions locked.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking the abstractions will run loose, which makes sense. To be honest, I actually feel like that could happen, and I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. Second of all, in general, this whole thing is pretty nice. What was I gonna say?
In the basement. Me and the others might just have to bring Caine back to the circus, or...
yeah, I can see Kingo being able to build a world on his own, to be honest. Like, Kingo being the one to build the world back.
Ask Bubble if they have any ideas. But most importantly...
Goose confirmed that Bubbles no longer here, to be honest, he's gone too.
They can swear. And it's never been a more appropriate time to start.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this was an amazing episode. Caine was fantastic, and now he's dead. The characters now have to figure out what they're gonna do with their lives. What happens when the man who created their world is no longer in it? This was an all-timer episode. I still don't think the story will end with them escaping, but for the first time in a while, it really feels like anything could happen. But no matter what, it has been one hell of a ride, and I can't wait to see it finish. So, subscribe to my channel, be kept up to date on all my other videos. They will be squished between my Invincible ones, because this is about to be the busiest time of my year. And I just moved, so yeah, I am super fucked, but I couldn't be happier. Let me know what you all thought of the episode down below, and what other circus topics I should discuss. Peace out, love you all, I cannot wait for June.
Yeah, I'm upset. I'm sad to see it end. Like, realistically, I am sad to see it go. I'm going to miss it when it's gone, and on 100%, I'm really sad to see this actually disappear and go. But it's nice to see. Obviously, hopefully, all I'm hoping is the Digital Circus ends on a satisfying ending, at least for me. Because if it doesn't end on a satisfying ending, I know that's going to eat me up. Because I hate when a show ends and I don't feel satisfied with the ending. Like, if I don't personally feel satisfied with something, it's going to eat me up. Also, you don't hate to obviously create endings that aren't satisfying for me, each one of its own. I just hope it had at least a satisfying conclusion and a satisfying ending that will leave me satisfied at the end. Yeah, that is Caine Never Had a Chance. The video will be linked down in the description and all that great stuff. Like I said, I paused way more than I actually thought I would, to be honest. But I guess that was just me talking about a lot of stuff, because honestly I had stuff to talk about. I will probably react to his other videos on other topics where I saw while looking for this video, and I will hopefully react to I Have No Mouth and I'm Off Screen Obviously that's the Digital Circus is based off that, so I kind of want to understand that a bit more and learn a lore. I hope I can find at least a decent, under an hour lore video, hopefully, because I want to see if I can, find that. Anyway, without further ado, see you guys next time, subscribe, do great stuff, and bye guys.